So today's video is going to be a bunch of, well, gibberish to some people, and even the people that know what I'm talking about engine-wise and parts and pieces-wise is still going to think it's gibberish because of my crazy, dumb, stupid ideas. But anyways, here's what we got going on right now. Stuff, lots of things. This is a 454 rectangle port, heads that are mildly ported. It was a good runner. Took it out because, well, I kind of want to use these rectangle port heads. Right now it's on a 454 2-bolt main cast crank. It's got some small dome pistons in it, put it like 9.2 to 1 around that. Anyways, it's a Howard's hydraulic flat tab cam, like a 540, 550-ish lift. I'd have to look at the specs again. Runs good. Don't need rectangle port heads on this engine. I mean, it still runs good, but I mean, it's just, this engine would be good with just regular oval ports. Whereas I've got, in this mess, catastrophic mess of a garage here that these engines don't even deserve to be in, I've got this 11 to 1 454 that came from Montana that's got a forged steel crank, dome pistons, 60 over, so it's, I mean, technically it'd be 468. And then this 10.5 to 1, never been fired yet, 496 with an Eagle stroker crankshaft in it. Anyways, I'm thinking those rec port heads are more belonging on one of these higher compression engines for something that's going to turn higher RPMs and get used like that. If I was to run this engine the way it is, you know, I mean, like I said, it's got a cast crank that's already turned. I got to look at the specs, what they said, but it's already like 20 under or something, 20, or I don't think it was 30 under. But anyways, I'm limited with the cast crank. It's like I've got a decent pair of heads, put them on one of the forged crank engines. It's going to be turning more RPMs, get that airflow. What else we got going on here? Currently, we've decided on this one for the camouflage blazer. It is a Gen 5 454 4-bolt main. I bought this engine as a complete long block out of a running mud truck that they were parting out. Nothing was wrong with it. This is just a mock-up head gasket here because I'm trying to mock up Gen 5-6 style head gaskets to Gen Mark IV heads. What we've got going on here was this ended up being, they said it was like forged stuff, roller cam. Well, it had roller tip rockers on peanut port heads. I'm pretty sure it's the original cast crank. The cam in it was just a flat tappet hydraulic cam, nothing special, nothing big. It does have some dome pistons in it, some hyper-eutectic dome pistons. Not huge domes or anything, but pulled the peanut port heads off. The cam wasn't even in that great of shape. Timing chain had a lot of slop in it. So the thought is, this engine had some pair of 781s, and when I put the oval port 781s on this, I got to get the correct head gaskets for the water jackets and everything to line up so we don't have overheating issues or coolant leaking issues or anything like that. So we're going to go oval port heads, and then to make things more confusing, over here in this mess of a shop, this disaster of a shop, don't judge me, but people are going to judge me anyways. Got this Gen 6 HO. It's been 15 years ago I bought the black Chevy truck from Oregon that had this engine in it. I ran it in the truck, drove it, towed with it, mud raced it a couple times. Then this engine came out, went in the big crew cab. It was in there for a while. We pulled it out, put it in a friend's mega truck for like a couple events. And then it came back out of that and it's been sitting ever since. My plan with this was wanting to take the 502 block and build something bigger, or, you know, bigger, better, because it's like an 8.75 to 1 502 factory roller cam setup. It's like the 510 540 lift cam, which it's pretty small for a 502, but it would be okay for that 454 over there, standard bore 454 for the Camo Blazer. So the thought is to start tearing this down to build it into something better later. Take this hydraulic roller cam, which does not have a provision for mechanical fuel pump, which is fine because the Gen 5 block does not have a provision for mechanical fuel pump. I'm going to have to use retrofit hydraulic roller lifters in this because it does not have in Gen 5 the provision for the factory hydraulic rollers like the Gen 6 did. Then we're going to use the oval port 781 heads, dual plane intake, and put a better timing chain on this. And I'm thinking this should be a decent combo for the Camo Blazer for just kind of doing trails, occasionally going through a mud pit, and driving around on back roads and stuff, and still having a fair amount of power without being too exotic. Then we have this engine. This is an engine I bought used off of an ad. It came out of a short box. They were going to an LS swap. It was a complete long block when I got it. In fact, it was a complete long block a couple hours ago. But they said it. They had a video of it running. It had a mild cam in it. You could hear that in the video. It did have 781 heads. They double checked that. And when he pulled it out and headed out for the LS swap, someone else he knew needed a push rod and a rocker arm for another engine for whatever reason, so that was taken off of it. But otherwise, it was complete. Had a gear drive, and he said it had Icon forged pistons in it and good heads. I could see the 781 casting heads in the ad because he pulled a valve cover. So I went ahead and bought it. But when I brought it back, it's, you know, or went and got it, it was typical cast crank 2-bolt main block, which is fine. But then I ran my scope down, spark plug holes, and it is, sure enough, your very stock cast dished piston, standard bore still. It was still a decent runner, but not going to be anything high performance. I just pulled the cam out. Decent little cam. It's just a Lunati flat tappet hydraulic cam. I just looked at the numbers. It's like a 513, 530 something lift. Everything seems to be like one of the few cams I pulled out that looks like all the lobes are good, all the lifters are good. So we're going to save that. Be able to use that in something else. What I'm going to do is put one of the stock cams that I have. I've got a stock cam out of a couple other engines and lifters that were in good shape. Put back in here. We're going to take the that's where this engine comes in. I don't know how it's going to be a long, boring video of me just rambling about big blocks in the shop, in a messy shop. But this is a 454 that was originally in a 1985 K30 plow truck. I bought the whole truck with this engine in it from my friend Will. He got out of snow plowing. I bought the truck. This engine was tired. It still ran. I plowed with it. I did a video of me plowing with it and just sucking down the fuel and not running very good. I mean, it still ran, but it didn't run very good. A couple bad valves, just need to be rebuilt. It was tired. Pulled that engine out. I had a GM Goodwrench 454 in here that I got out of a Blazer years ago. We put in the yellow plow truck. I pulled this out, and around that time, I had done a trade deal with Will for this engine, which is another 454. This 454 is actually a combination of my first 454 I drove in my GMC. The block is block and crank. The heads are 049s or 781s. I think they're 049s off of I believe my third 454, which came in a Suburban that I put in my 81 Suburban. Anyways, it's a combination of the two. I basically took the better heads, used my original block, had Castle rebuild this engine. It's got a, going off memory here, 501, 527 lift, hydraulic flat tappet cam in it that was brand new. I got in a trade deal years ago, dual plane performer intake. I had this engine actually gone through, and this was going to be my towing rig engine for my crew cab. And I actually had a comp roller cam set up in this when Castle first built it. And then I decided that I wanted the roller cam set up for my step side. So we robbed the valve springs, the cam, and the hydraulic retrofit roller lifters out of this again to put the step side engine together years ago. And then we put this flat tappet cam back in it. And then at that point, I didn't have a use for it because I tore my crew cab apart and I was deciding I was going to go with the Cummins in it, which I still haven't finished. But anyways, this engine just kind of sat there for a while at his shop. And then I basically did a trade sale deal to my friend Will, who wanted it. And then, so this was his engine. But then when I pulled the engine out of the truck that I bought from him, I thought, well, hey, I kind of would like to get my original block back again, just for the heck of it. So I ended up trading him, having Castle go through the engine that came out of the yellow plow truck dually for him. And then I traded this for that. And then Will had this for a while. He ended up recamming it again. And then didn't even really use it that much and ended up going to an LS. And then had this up for sale. I ended up using snowplow money from a couple years ago. Ended up buying this engine back from him. And what this engine ended up being was a 4-bolt main cast crank, peanut port heads. They're the 045 casting heads. Fine for a tow rig, a street rig, whatever. When Jeff went through this engine, he had some forged small dome pistons that he put in it. So now that I've got this back, I kind of want to upgrade it a little bit. All this needed, Will said, was the front main seal was starting to leak, but I'm going to go ahead and tear it apart down to a short block. These heads are fine. They've been rebuilt. They've got low miles on them, probably about as low miles as that other 454 over there. So I'm going to take the peanut port heads, put onto this block with the dish pistons, low compression, low RPM engine. It's going to go into one of the 1-ton K-Series trucks up here. It'll be a good engine for that. So then I'm going to take this engine. Don't know what heads I'm using on it yet, other than I'm going to put oval ports on it. I got several pairs of 781 heads. Came from my friend Dave's place that passed away and bought all his trucks and engine parts. So I might go through a pair of those heads, have them gone through and put them on this. And I kind of want to put I've got a roller cam, a couple roller cams, hydraulic roller cams that I've saved out of different vehicles, engines that I parted out over the years. I want to do a small roller cam in this for my white 90 K5 that's on 1-tons and 36s and a 5-speed. That's kind of the plan for now, but for now I'm going to get these heads on the other engine that's going to go into a truck that's just going to be a stock dually 4-wheel drive tow rig. So that's what's going on here. I'm about to pull the intake off this. But what else we got going on? We're still rounding up parts for the Camo Blazer engine. So again, cam out of this, heads off that. When the cam comes out of this, I'm going to use the retrofit roller lifters like are in this. In fact, we may use these. I was mocking them up in this engine, but decided to change my mind again on this for the roller setup. I'm actually thinking now I might take the cam out of that, which is kind of a very mild, I don't think it's even 500 lift, but it's still got a, mild lope to it. I think it's the one of the thumper cams, so it sounds good. And this is just a 2-bolt main 454 cast crank, but it's got 781 heads, oval port heads on it. Actually ran really good. I'm thinking about just putting a mild cam in it, aluminum intake, put this in the black dually, so that I can get that truck running again, because I pulled the 502 out of that, which is over here. It'll be just a boring long video of me blabbing about engines and ideas of engines. Like this 502, this is one of the early 502s, might even be a Marine. I looked up the block number, and I've got like 3 or 4 versions of 502s up here, and this is one of the earlier version ones. And this one is actually a Gen 5 502 pre-roller cam. I actually needed to borrow the 502 one-piece rear main forged crank flex plate off this, because it's the only one that I had up here for the 502 that went into the truck blazer, so I could get that bolted in. And I kind of want to take this engine, tear it down. This is still a decent runner, but again, it's a very limited 502 because it's a low compression. It's got a flat tappet cam. It is nothing special, but the potential is there to build more out of it. So anyways, that's why the black dually does not have an engine anymore and does not run. But we're going to put that 454 back in to replace this, and it would still be an engine that sounds good, decent enough power, oval port heads, flat top pistons, so it's still only going to be a pump gas, 8-to-1 compression engine, and we'll get that dually going again. But anyways, where was I going with this? The 502 in the shop, the hydraulic roller one. We can't use the factory hydraulic roller lifters in the 454 for the Camo Blazer because it's a Gen 5 454 that does not have the factory dog bone style retainers like this Vortec 454 here. You have to have this little spider, or whatever they call this, retainer here that bolts down. It holds these dog bones in for these lifters so that they don't roll around. This here actually came out of the K30 dually that I want to put that Mark IV 454 block with the dish pistons in the shop. This engine came out of that, so I need that engine to go back into that truck to make that a driver again. I pulled this out because this is a, I wouldn't say super rare, but it's a, I guess not your everyday block. It's an over-the-counter, I believe, engine that you could buy. And it's a Gen 6 block. It's only got the 6-bolt composite timing cover here. Factory roller cam compatible, but this came with a flat tappet cam, and it came with some peanut port Gen 5 style heads that are for more lower end torque. The reason I wanted to keep this is it's, even though it's a Gen 6 block, it has the provision for a mechanical fuel pump. And the factory Gen 6 blocks did not, like the Vortex, and even the 502s, even the Gen 5 and 6 502s do not have this. So I've got a comp cam that came out of the X-Plow, I call it the X-Plow Truck 498 stroker that I bought. It had a hydraulic roller cam for fuel injection compatible. Well, I'm not going to run fuel injection, but it's a very mild cam. It's like a 485 lift, and I'm thinking it would be good with this. This is just a dish piston engine. I kind of want to take these Vortec 454 heads that have a smaller chamber, which you can see right here. They got a smaller chamber. They've also got oval ports instead of peanut ports. That is one idea. The other idea is to use a pair of some closed chambered heads like that I have in the shop that are rebuilt and put on here to get the compression above 7 something to 1, into 8 something to 1, or maybe even closer to 9, 8 and I don't know. These are all guesses without me actually going through and CCing all of these. I'm just kind of randomly guessing compression ratios here. It should be in that neighborhood. But if you're mild hydraulic roller cam, since I've got it, we can use the factory roller lifters and dog bone lifters and the retainer out of that 502. With that cam in here, that cam still has a lobe for mechanical fuel pump, so I have that option. Better flowing heads. It'll still be kind of low compression, but we're bumping it up better than it was with these peanut port open chambered heads. And still be a pump gas engine, and we've got a K30, actually, excuse me, a V30 flatbed truck, 4-speed 205, 60 front, 14-bolt rear flatbed with a PTO driven winch that was set up as a Gen boom truck on the rear, missing a few parts. But I kind of want to make that truck like a mild but reliable big block. So that's kind of what we're using here. This is a 4-bolt main, cast crank. If we go with a roller cam, some better heads, you know, hopefully it'll be an engine that'll run on pump gas, still make more power than stock. And I'm using up some of the parts that I have that work with each other and still be able to run a mechanical fuel pump. So that's where we're at with that. This here is just kind of a parts Gen 4 2-bolt main cast crank block. This came in a crew cab I bought. I had it running. It actually has some semi-closed chambered heads, or did have some semi-closed chambered heads on it that had a mild port job on them. And this engine, I was confused. It was like they had just rebuilt it, and then I think they must have messed up their clearances, because after it would warm up, you could actually start to hear like a little bit of a noise, like a loose bearing or something. I have yet to pull this down and inspect everything. This was seized when I got it from rust. It was rust in the cylinders from sitting was why. And I think they got discouraged when they heard a noise, shut it down, and never finished the truck. Changed owners. I ended up buying the truck from someone who knew nothing about it. Poured ATF acetone down the cylinders, got it freed up, got it to run long enough to hear that it's got an issue. So the heads are good. This, I need to check clearances and see what bearing might have been making noise. And it did have some pretty pitted cylinders, so this is more just kind of a parts block. This here, 454, came out of a very rusty Chevy I did a little video on. Came from Southeast Washington. It actually has some good 781 heads on it. It's a runner. I did get it running for a short period of time to hear it run. It actually has a forged steel crank in it. 2-bolt main block, and according to my little scope, dished pistons. So it is like not even 8-to-1 compression. So I'm just kind of on standby with that. It's it's a runner, just such a low compression ratio engine. It's not going to be much for power, but it's got a forged crank. I hate to tear this down, but I've got, you know, other engines that could use this forged crank to build up rather than wasting it in just like a 2-bolt main cast piston, dish piston, low compression engine. So, and I don't know like how, I've only ran it for a few minutes at a time. So really it probably needs to come apart anyways and be gone through and checked out. So then there's that. And then of course here I've got my 489. This first stroker I had Castle build for me. It's got an aftermarket forged Eagle crank. Had some good parts in it, but I left water in it and it froze and it cracked the block, I think. And then I let it sit in the truck blazer for a while. This is like 10 years ago now. And I got water down the headers and just, it's kind of a sore subject, but it's still here. It's still got a good crank and rods in it. I got to figure out what to do with that. This is the 498 stroker, which is what the computer controlled cam was in. But then Robert Weiss and I took it out of that truck and recammed it. It actually had a pair of those Pro Comp aluminum heads on it. Anyways, we ran it hard in the truck blazer. And I knew it should have been rebuilt, but we threw it in the hoopty. And then a combination of wear and tear, oil pump pickup tube falling off the oil pump basically messed up the crank. It was just a scat cast crank. This engine had a lot of good parts into it. What I end up being into the thing after I resold the truck it was in, after putting another engine back in it and reselling it, I'm not out any money on this. In fact, I've made money on that deal. But anyways, I do want to put it, I'm thinking about putting that Eagle forged crank in here to replace this cast crank. I need to buy 2 rods for this. Pistons are still good, and we could actually put this one back together. It's a 454 4-bolt main bored 70 over. Just needs a crank and 2 rods. This is the 454 out of, I'm just going to say the Jin Boom crane truck. End up having some bad rod bearings. It's just a cast crank, 2-bolt main, peanut port heads, nothing special. Don't know what I'm doing with that. This is the 489 out of Carnage. It has a cast crank in it. I screwed it up like 10 years ago. Rod bearings, I still have not tore it down yet. There's the 632 that I messed up. Not one of my brighter moments. One of the Blueprint engine 632s. Someone I know ended up buying that brand new from Blueprint, put it in his truck, built his truck, ran it a few times, tore the truck down, was going to go through everything on the truck and rebuild the engine for more power. I ended up buying the camshaft out of it and the lifters, which I end up using in the 498 over there. And then another friend, Brad, bought the heads and the block, and the original crank went to someone else, and rotating assembly. And then Brad bought another crank, rods, put another rotating assembly together, went through it all, put it in a boat for a while, and then put it in a mud truck for a while, and then rolled that. And then the last it ran it in Bentley's rail at the Sand Scorpion's Bounty Hole. And then it's still kind of low on oil pressure for some reason. I bought it. We ended up putting it in Carnage. I ran it. It would lose oil pressure after it was warm. Well, I knew it needed to come apart. I had to run it one more time. Screwed something up.
And she's done.
Screwed something up bad. I've just not been brave enough to tear this down to see how much stuff I messed up and what is not fixable on that. So it's just there. 350 Goodwrench engine that came out of the Mountain Mafia motorhome. It was a runner. It sat for a while. It's kind of rusted up. It's 454, 4-bolt main I bought. It needs to be gone through. It was seized up. I got it freed up. It's a forged steel crank, forged flat top pistons. Had some ported closed chambered heads that are, I think those are them there. All needs to be gone through, but there's some good pieces there. I was going to try to free it up and just run it, but I had a bad cam and it needs majorly cleaned out and everything. It's 454 out of a K30 crew cab that caught fire, carb fire, burned down. It seized up from getting water in it from assuming the process, putting out the fire. I've got ATF and acetone in it soaking. I'm trying to free it up and see if that's going to be a runner. This is the, I call it the disappointing 505. It's a 2-bolt main, 454, 100 over bore block. It used to be Robert Schmidt's motor in Grendel. He had the fuel injection, could never get it to run right. Ended up trading a Cummins for it. Put a carbureted intake on it. I think all Robert Weiss and I did was pull the crank out, had it polished, put it back in, and we ran it in the Truck Blazer disappointment for a while. And then I lost oil pressure. Turned out, long story less long, the Predator carb that was on it and the fuel cell I had would bleed down fuel from sitting higher than the engine, filling the engine up with race fuel when it would sit. And I found that out the hard way because it was hydro-locked a few times when I tried to start it. Literally had to pull the plugs out, pump all the fuel out of the cylinders. A lot of that fuel drained into the pan. I had to change the oil. Fuel basically sitting on top of the oil from sitting for a while ate away at the pan gasket, and it was starting to leak out of here. I was able to kind of drop the pan enough in the rig to goop silicone in there, got it to stop leaking, put a shut-off valve so we quit bleeding fuel into the engine. Lost oil pressure, just kind of all of a sudden it was declining, and then it just lost all the oil pressure, shut it down, pull it out, ended up finding out it was all the pieces from this oil pan broken up and gotten sucked up in the pickup tube. I've checked one bearing so far and it looks perfect. So this engine is probably still fine. Just want to check clearances, make sure that there's no other pieces of that oil pan gasket anywhere, clean it up, put it back together, and we can still run it in something. This 502 is not an aluminum headed 502 from the factory. This came in the Electrical Nightmare crew cab I bought. It is the HT 502, which they call the high torque 502, which I also should call the low torque 502 because it is the lowest horsepower and lowest torque 502 out of all the crate engines GM made, because they put peanut port heads on it, which are over here somewhere. So I pulled those off. It had about 17,000 miles on it, and the guy had basically paid like 7 grand, 8 grand for the engine when he bought it brand new from GM or through a GM dealer. And he had it in the crew cab for towing and everything. That's why he bought the peanut port head high torque version 1. Still respectable torque numbers, but still lower torque numbers than you can get out of oval port heads at a higher RPM. But these are pair of Pro Comp aluminum heads from the Portland swap meet I bought for pretty reasonably. Had them gone through with better valves and guides and everything. Facebook Marketplace Pro Comp intake right now is sitting in here is one of the GM 572, like the 620 horsepower version hydraulic roller cam, which is a, if I remember right, about a 632 lift. And I was thinking I could use the factory hydraulic roller setup for lifters with the factory hydraulic roller cam. I stopped there because I was researching more about issues with, you can't really go over a 550 lift on factory hydraulic roller lifters, and you have oiling issues is something I read about. So I kind of stopped on this and haven't finished it because I don't want to mess it up if that is the case, and I'll either have to go with retrofit hydraulic roller lifters, which was kind of defeating the purpose of why I was doing this with this cam and everything, or I have to get a smaller cam for it. But these are rec port heads. Well, this is for another wheeling truck that we want to get together soon. So that's those. These are intakes. I'm not going to go into those today. Then there's other things in here that are not related to any of the other engines. That's another standard bore 454 dish pistons, but it's got a forge crank, but the forge crank is turned 30 under already, so don't know what I'm going to do with that. Another 454 4-bolt main with a cast crank, dish pistons. Used to be out of Joe Miller's old square body mud truck. Got the 396 there. It's supposed to go in that. That was in the step side originally a long time ago, and it was in the truck blazer last. Don't know if if that's going back to who I got it from, family member or not. That's 383, came out of a Suburban. Cummins supposed to go into another Suburban. My step side's engine. Sadly out again because I detonated a piston. Another story for another video. What else we got in here? And then here we got another 454 forged crank 2-bolt main. It's got some dome pistons. Castle just went through this, well, quite a few years ago now. It's going into a rig soon, I hope. I just haven't put it in the rig yet. Hopefully we'll hear it run soon in the next year. Again, those two got to go through. This is the 505. Also kind of a sore subject. Paid a lot of money for this engine. Sold 2 Suburbans to get it and some parts. It is a dart block. I hope I didn't hurt the block. This was originally a Skip White Performance 505. It's been rebuilt at least once since then. Bigger cam, solid roller cam now, and cast crank is how they came, and I think I hurt the crank. I don't know if I spun a main bearing. It might have been something I screwed up changing the pan and putting this windage tray in it where I had changed the main studs. So I have yet to pull the pan off and figure out what I screwed up on that. Here, 454, I'm not going to unwrap it. It's out of the black Suburban. Turned out it had a bad valve seat and valve, but it does have a forged crank, 2-bolt main. I think it's 30 over with flat tops. It's a good candidate to put different used heads on and a different cam and just run it, I guess. So that's it for a few of the things that's going on right now. And there's a whole trailer full of other engines and other things too, and blocks that already got tore down because we're freeing up some of these engine stands to use. But I'm not going to talk about them now. I'm really taking this video just as a cheat because I'm too far behind to finish editing another video about the battle at the beach video. I still haven't posted part 3. I'll get to it eventually, but for now, this is what I'm doing, and this is why I haven't edited that video yet. So we'll see y'all later. Thanks for listening to me ramble about big blocks. And now back to more big blocks.